Who played the lead solo on one of these nights? I always thought it was
It
one of
was
the
Welch and Felder, both of them.
Walsh and
Two,
Felder
yeah,
both played there.
yeah. It's the different parts. They traded eights in
Oh,
Hotel
really?
California. Welch would play the first 8 bars, and Felder played the second 8. I think. I can't.
I always thought, man, that
It's two
lead fit
guys.
the song so well. I mean, that's one of the things I always noticed about the Eagles. Their guitar parts and everything. It's like things that's meshed really well. That the solo was never tasteless or,
Not with those two guys.
those guys were great.
Those Felder and Welch were the guitar army. They were the best. Those two guys that were real good at doing what you just said. Putting solos to fit the mood in the songs.
So I guess this job, producing records and stuff, is it really hectic? I mean, does the pressure build on you? Is there a lot of competition among producers like there are
Oh
among
Christ,
musicians?
yes. Oh yeah. There definitely is, especially when, you get artists that interview producers for jobs. It's there's a great amount of competition. There's young kids coming up all the time. They want to kick us old guys' ass. They really, I can do this better than you. Come on, get out of the way. And it's fending off the young Turks. There's a huge competition,
And
and it does get hectic. But you can't let it get to you, because if it gets to you, then you're going to show your artist that you're not in control, and then you're lost. Then you've lost the battle.
so the producer has to be kind of the
You
boss.
got to be confident, and you got to be calm, and you can't let anything get to you. Even if inside you're freaking out, you got to be, okay, don't worry about it. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. Let's do this. Did it. Steer the little. It's like herding cows. You got whoop. There goes one. Get him over here. There goes one. Let's get these guys going the right way here now. You got to have a hell of a sense of humor, and you got to be able to make cracks and jokes and whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to get the job done. The Eagles used to call me Coach, because I was like a football coach. We were all sports freaks. We all still are. We serious betters. Football season, Monday night, 8:45, everything stopped dead. That was it.
Right.
And Sundays are off. That's all there is to it. So a good analogy was like a head football coach. You got a championship team, and you got to herd all these different personalities all doing the same thing at the same time. So it's like a coach. It's like a director of a movie. It's just you got to do whatever it takes to get the job done.
I was going to ask you something here about, I don't know what kind of music. I guess it depends on what kind of music and stuff that you're producing. But like, how is all this kind of techno pop synthesizer movement stuff record, or how's that affected the way you approach producing a record or anything?
Well, it's in a lot of ways. I haven't dealt with a whole serious techno pop kind of band yet. And I say yet because I may, I very well may. But it's changed some of the ground rules, in the sense that you have drum machines now that you push a button and you got a done drum sound, whereas it used to take us 2 days maybe to get a real good drum sound. Now you can get a Lin 9000 or something, or an emulator, and you've got Ringo's toms and somebody else's snare and somebody else's foot, and you got them all in one thing, and you just press a few buttons and you got your drum track. So you don't have to deal with the personality, because the guy's going to do it, the machine's going to do it the same way every time. So you don't have it isn't as much personal relationship, interpersonal, communicating with people, because a lot of times you have one guy and 20 machines, and that's your album. That could be your album. I mean, that's like, for instance, Thomas Dolby and Howard Jones and people like that.
Prince did an album of
Prince, exactly. He doesn't have anybody there except him and his millions of machines. So in that sense, then the artist, for all intents and purposes, is really the producer. And you find very few times on those type of acts, like Prince produces himself, Howard Jones produces himself, and Thomas Dolby, they do it all themselves. It isn't until I like to work with a band. I like to work with real people playing real instruments, but I'm not anti-synthesizer. I use them on all my albums.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a matter of taste.
Yeah, just the human feel in a song.
I'm still old-fashioned enough to like real people playing real instruments. I can go see them. I don't want to see some guy push start.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been reading, well, I've read a lot of people, like record critics and things, that say, like bands like Toto are always, the critics always say that band is overproduced or something. Is there such a thing as overproducing?
Yes, there is, and it's that's a some people's overproduced is other people's underproduced. It's a beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But in Toto, you've got about 5 guys that are all producers of other people. I mean, they all produce other things. They're all session guys. They're all studio, the hot crack studio musicians. And if you got 5 real good musicians and they all want to get all their ideas on a tune or on an album or something, and chances are it's going to be a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Stuff flying everywhere. Like their last album, I wasn't really fond of at all, and obviously the public wasn't either because it stiffed. But it was like they paid. It was much ado about nothing. There was great frames, but there were no paintings. The songs weren't there to me, and they just didn't spend enough time writing great songs. But they sure spent a lot of time putting great.
Yeah.
They had all the bells and the whistles and the frosting, but they didn't have any cake. You got to start with a song. It all still starts with a song. No matter what kind of frame you put around the song, you can put the greatest stuff in the world, and it'll catch your ear as a listener, and you'll listen to it a couple, 3 times. But if there isn't a song there, what's the point?
Right. What would you say are like some of the now? I want to get this right now. Okay, I want you to say your name loud and clear one time.
Bill Simcik.
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 Okay,
yeah, just
great.
It's like
Great.
Phonetically, it's SIMZICK.
Right. That's how I'll put it down on the thing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like if you had if you were to, let me put this another way. How would you describe part of some distinguishing characteristics of the Bill Simcik production? I mean, like how are there any nuances to the vocals or to the instruments or something? Do you emphasize a certain thing in a production when you do one? Or?
Not particularly. A lot of producers have a somewhat distinctive sound. I think Quincy Jones has a very distinctive sound, and I like it. I don't think I've ever really developed a distinctive sound or a trademark sound of any kind, and I think that's good because every artist is different, and I don't try to imprint my style upon the artist as much as some people do, and some producers are stars more so than they're artists, and Quincy Jones is a good example of that, even though it's tough to be bigger than Michael Jackson.
Really?
But I would say a good solid bottom, a good drum sound, and a lot of bass, a lot of bottom, wherever the bottom's coming from, whether it be low-end guitars or bass guitar or even synthesizers or things like that. And a crisp top end where you can hear the cymbals and the hi-hat. And I'd say that'd probably be as much as what I'd like to do on every record, or just about every record that I make. Good drum sound and a real good thick bottom.
I had 1 or 2 questions I want to ask, like about the start. Like, what do you do besides the recording business? And do you have any like personal interest, things you'd like to do?
Football.
Football, all right.
sit on this porch. Now, if the haze would lift a little bit, you'd be able to see Mount Mitchell right over that second to the left tree. Yeah, and that's what I like. 20 miles and away, and there's Mount Mitchell, and ain't nothing, no humans between me and there.
Beautiful.
This is what I like to do in the off time. You're here, except for my demo. Honey, could you make some more coffee? Figs.
How'd you find out about Little Switzerland and all this?
Well, this is an odd thing, but a guy that still owns Criteria Recording Studios in Miami, his name is Mac Emmerman. He owned this place. He had kept talking about this, man, you got to go up and see my place in North Carolina, da-da-da-da-da. So I was on the road up in Washington, and I was at the Capitol Center for a Jay Giles band gig. We were recording live or something. I forget exactly why I was there. And on my way from there down to Florida, I just took a little detour into Asheville, rented a car, drove up here, and met the guy that takes care of the place and came up and looked at it and I went, yeah,
No.
I like this. Because I'd lived for 3 years in Denver prior to moving to Florida. So I really loved the mountains, but the reason I left the mountains was because I missed the seashore. I missed the ocean. So I'm living right in Key Biscayne now. The Atlantic Ocean's right in my front yard. And when I get tired of that, I go, okay, let's go to the mountains. Come up here. And it's perfect. I got the best of both worlds. This is like my own little decompression tank here. It's like when the pressure gets too big. Like I just spent 2 months in Minnesota. And I got home. I was home 4 days and been, let's go up here and cool out. Just you just let it relax. Go play a little golf. It's the best. I like it up here. I'm originally from Michigan anyway, from the country. So it's sort of like, this reminds me of my childhood. This reminds me of the 50s. Nice knotty pine, and it wasn't until last year that I broke down and bought a color TV. It's been black and white until last year. Try to keep it like the 60s, like the 50s. Now we're into the 60s though.
So you're kind of a reminiscent type guy, kind of a nostalgic type guy or something.
Well, when it comes to this, yeah.
When you get away, you want to get out of the 80s and.
That's it. I like to backtrack. Yeah, it's anti-future shock. So this is my own little decompression tank. I really love it up here. Since I bought this place, which came with 5 acres, I bought 5 more acres on that side and 5 more acres on that side. The 2 lots. And say, I don't want nobody to come next to me, babies. Y'all just stay away from me. So I really like it.
I'm glad you like it up here. This place means a lot to me. This whole place. I've asked you. You've really done great. This is going to be super. And I tell you, I'll just turn that off. And anything I say now before I leave is just. I guess it's.
You sure you got all you want there, huh?
Well, I'll tell you. I could see. I'll record what we say here if you want to. I just. I'm really glad to meet you. I had no idea that. Like I said, I had no idea I'd ever get in touch with you.
So you're a senior now, and where's Mars Hill? I've heard of that.
It's right over there beside Asheville, about 19 miles this side of Asheville. And I'm an English major, and I'll be graduating in the spring.
You plan on going into journalism?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's something. I don't know. It's either that, or if my mom and dad can scrape up enough money, it's law school. But then again, it's what mom and dad kind of want. So I really kind of. Really kind of don't know what I want to do exactly, but I guess I'll make it one way or the other. But man, you're the music that you have done with the Eagles and stuff is just, God, man, when I found you were here, it killed me.
How did you find out anyway?
Well, like I said, there's a guy named C.D. Hughes lives down the road here a ways, and
on the other side of Lake Long?
Yeah.
I don't know very many people down that end.
My kid brother needed to ride up to one of his friends' house. The CD has a boy named Steven, and I took Tom up here. I was just driving down the road, and I saw this. I don't know, out the corner of my eye, I saw your name on the.
Oh, you mean on the
thing?
Yeah, that's a two-edged sword there. I don't know if I want that out there.
I know, but nobody else. Like I say, nobody reads the back of record covers.
Very few.
Except people that are real freaks about a band, and of course I grew up being an Eagles, Led Zeppelin, Leonard Skinner type freak or something, I guess was what, those were my 3 bands, and when I was a high school kid, and I'd sit there and listen to the lyrics, read them off the album jackets, and see who the producers were and everything, just.
You read everything you could about
everything I could read about them on the, and so when I saw your name, I said, well, that looks like something I've seen before, some guy's name. I knew I'd seen it on a record. I didn't know if you're the same guy or not. But started things going together. I said, Bob Seger. Why would Bob Seger come up here unless there's a record producer up here or somebody that at least in the music industry?
Right.
So.
Yeah, Walt has been here a few times. He was here last October for about 5 days, and we just laid on the couch and watched a bunch of football and ate. Ate a ton of food, drank a bunch of booze, and watched football.
All right. Those guys pretty nice guys. I mean, the people you've worked with.
I have had very few. Everybody's got their own little quirks, and some people are a little weirder than others. But generally, well, like I say, Joe Walsh is my best friend in the, just about my best friend in the world. And I have no complaints about any of the people that I've worked with. Some of them are bigger assholes than other, but as a rule, they're all pretty nice, just decent kids. I call us all the Midwest Mafia. Most of the ones that I work with and hang out with are all from like the Michigan, Kansas, Ohio, Illinois, that area. Like Glenn Fry's from Detroit, and Henley's from Texas, Walsh is from Kansas and Ohio, and Joe Vitale was my favorite drummer in the world.
Yeah,
he's from
it's
Ohio.
on the live album, right?
He still lives in Ohio. And Seeger's from Michigan. I'm from Michigan. So we call ourselves the Midwest Mafia.
Yeah. Something else might be fun to do. Maybe you give me like a little brief profile on each of these guys, like just go through the Eagles or something, and tell me, not necessarily I don't want to hear anything bad or good or whatever, just whatever you want to say about any of those guys. How would you do?
Jeez, I don't know. That'd be kind of tough.
Are any of them like perfectionists? That's an example. Or any of them?
Well, they all are, and everybody's a perfectionist, but it's just in different areas that you want to be a perfectionist in. Like Henley, it would be in his writing. He's the English lit major of the band, and he was the one that would he would just slave over one little twist of phrase.
He's the cerebral in that.
He's the thinker, and it's obvious. I think when you listen to their solo efforts after the band is broken up, you can see where the Eagles came from and what who was responsible for what. Glenn was referred to as the lone arranger, because he would be the arranger. He was always the one. Well, that guitar part should be over here, and this guitar part should be there, and that drum fill should be here, da da da. And that was his main contribution. Whereas Henley, besides being Golden Throat, that was his nickname because he's got such an unbelievable voice.
Oh, that's real.
And it's such a unique voice. His English lit, he would have that perfect little twist of phrase. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Things like that. The imagery lyrically came from Henley. And Felder and Walsh were the hired guns, because they were that was the two guitar attack business. And once we developed it from a one guitar. Glenn originally was the lead guitar player, he would just strum and then within a matter of between Best of My Love and Hotel California, which is 3 albums, from On the Border to One of These Nights to Hotel California, we totally changed the band around into, not only did you have those cerebral lyrics, but the arrangements were killer, and the people playing the stuff were 10 times better than what the original first couple of albums were. Because Felder and Walsh just beat the living pants off Fry as far as playing goes.
Oh yeah, like a typical Glenn Fry solo would be, I can't tell you why, something like that.
Exactly, that's exactly his solo. And boy, was that boring. Not one of my favorites, that song.
But then,
and Timmy, well, to finish it up, Schmidt was beside being the glue and the harmony vocals, because he was the one that had the highest voice in the entire known world on a male, and he would glue the harmony parts together. So he was like the high and the low end of the band, high in the vocal and low playing bass. So it was like he covered both parameters at the same time, and he was comic relief.
Pretty funny guy.
He was hysterical in many, many ways. He had more nicknames than anybody else in the band.
Any you'd like to mention?
I don't know if I should.
Okay.
What? Okay. I think prone would be the best name I could put on, because he was prone to do anything. You want another cup of coffee?
Oh no, really, I'm fine. Yeah, tell me when I should leave. I could sit here and talk to you all day, but I'll go whenever you need to go.
Here a little bit.
I know what you mean.
What you doing there, Babbo?
Still going? Yeah.
Is it a pleasure?
Test 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
I tell you, what is this for? Is this for a?
This is for a it's for a journalism class, and if I do well on it and make really well, it'll probably be published in some kind of English journal or something like that. that you know, where teachers can read, criticize it, and say things about it, and whatever, you know. And I'll tell you what I'll do.
You just start back in your senior year,
I'm just starting
month,
back,
right?
and man, this is really great because everybody else is like they're gonna, you know, interview some college football player or something like that, you know. Here, this is super, you know. I got the Eagles producer.
Well, if you want, I got a book in here that let me just show you here.
Yeah,
I'll tell you something. This is the best interview